So what are you checking for? What stuff are you looking at? Are you looking at like some of the space? I know it's probably hard to, because it's some of it's unconscious. That'd be fair.
It's how, what's going to be the most effective pass? What's been the most dangerous for you, and I keep going back to the most effective. But
are you looking at just the like how broad's your vision? So are you looking 30 yards? So I'm a fullback and I'm playing into you.
I'm looking as far forward as I possibly can. That's my first one is as far forward as I possibly can.
So we're talking even range. It might be 30, 40 yards, maybe.
It depends how close you are to the front line or their back line. So it could be, if you're playing right against their box, then you're talking 10, 15 yards. If I'm right in my defensive, getting off the centre backs as a holding midfielder, you could be talking 60 yards if their back four is deep. So it's for me, it's always it was. I say it was.
So what are you checking for? What stuff are you looking at? Are you looking at like some of the space? I know it's probably hard to, because it's some of it's unconscious. That'd be fair.
It's how, what's going to be the most effective pass? What's been the most dangerous for you, and I keep going back to the most effective. But
are you looking at just the like how broad's your vision? So are you looking 30 yards? So I'm a fullback and I'm playing into you.
I'm looking as far forward as I possibly can. That's my first one is as far forward as I possibly can.
So we're talking even range. It might be 30, 40 yards, maybe.
It depends how close you are to the front line or their back line. So it could be, if you're playing right against their box, then you're talking 10, 15 yards. If I'm right in my defensive, getting off the centre backs as a holding midfielder, you could be talking 60 yards if their back four is deep. So it's for me, it's always it was as far forward as you possibly can. That was my first check. Say my forward or my wingers that were as high, and then quickly in a split second you're checking back from there. So if they're not on, that's not on, then it might be a shorter pass.
So you've got that in your head. So your actual eye, what you're looking at. So you're looking at your striker, the furthest player forward, and then is it almost looking at the next player? How do you see between? It's a checklist, but what about you, and where do you look? So like in that moment, and say the ball, you've got that moment when he's looking at you.
You're looking before, you're prepping it before, but then as the ball, you've took your touch and it's in that sweet spot. If your touch is not right, then you're fighting the ball, so then you don't get to see the picture. If your touch is right and you trust your touch and it's in that sweet spot, then you've got a time when you take that touch, just as you almost taking your foot back, where you can have a quick scan and you just see that a bit of movement, or you see something that happens in that split second. So you might have seen a pass, but that split second allows you just to delay something. If you see someone moving even on your backswing, you can kind of hold it, and then you can see something else. But you're talking like
milliseconds. I think the difference often where I thought one of your biggest strengths was that you could leave your decision to execute. You committed later than most.
But I think that comes from your touch. I think if your touch is in the sweet spot, you know your touch is there, you get that almost deep breath and almost slow motion for that. Literally, we're talking like not even a blink of an eye, but it feels like the game slows down for a second, and you quick scan, and then you see, and you try to pick the best pass. It doesn't always work, but I think it just gives you that chance of, like I said, if that's the pass I want to make to the left through the lines, but the pass is not on for a split second, then you've got to disguise that one, maybe to the right a little bit, and hoping or waiting for him just to take that half a step. As soon as you see his body language or his body moving, and then that gives you the chance to just put it in where you want to put it in. So
what you're sort of describing is that you've got the bigger picture, and you've actually got 2 or 3 pictures going on. You're using this one possibility of playing wide.
There's always a one.
Contingency.
Yes, like if in doubt, I've got that pass. And that you're leaving that as late as you possibly can. That's not your first pass. I see your pass, I'll pass that. Unless it's an obviously forward one, through on goal. But if there's not really an obvious one, if you've got time in midfield, it really frustrates when you just see someone pass to a fullback when they're facing the game. Because they don't see that first pass, even they might have 10 yards of space in front of them, they'll just think they've got to pass it, so they'll pass it to a fullback. So that's what I'm saying. That first picture doesn't have to be the picture. do something to change that picture, whether it's hold on to the ball and let someone else move. It's like a face-off with who's going to move first. Do you know what I mean? I've got time on the ball. I'm not going to give the ball to someone else because I'm not quite happy with the picture. So then wait for a midfielder to move, or one of our lads, your own players, to move, to then make a better picture, and then you can make the decision then.
So to play with disguise, as you said, where you need more possibilities than the one, in a way, don't you?
In an ideal world, you do, yeah. Sometimes one's enough.
Sometimes one's enough, but if you want to play with that, so you had that one where you almost pretending to play at the winger, but you leave it late and you bring your foot round, so you're playing the striker. But you need the winger there.
Yeah, if the winger wasn't there, or that option wasn't there, then there's no disguise. There's no disguise.
So you need the wider possibility.
So you're almost setting it up. You need that setup.
And you're using
the setup. If you don't use it, if it's there and you don't use it, then it's not disguise either. So it's maximising.
And if it's not there, then you got to find it.
It's maximising your worst option, basically. That's what you're kind of using, that worst option, and bringing the best out of that situation. And that might be your option, so you do give it to the full-back and then fine, readjust, whatever. But can you maximise that worst option to bring something else more positive to the game?